The wild magic faded. The beasts fell silent. One man's journal may bring them back, but only if he remembers before it all slips away. This entry was tucked into the cracked spine of an old spellbook I picked up in Fairglen. It says Field Note 78. It details a peculiar expedition through the upper Faye Wood and a rather whimsical encounter with a beast often written off as a mischievous pest. But there's something strange about the tone, and the final passage makes me wonder. Day 17 of the Eastern Faybark Ridge excursion. The canopy here hums, even when the wind doesn't stir. Birds do not sing, but the branches seem to echo their absence. There's a sweetness to the stillness that makes you forget what you were looking for. I caught sight of a flickering ripple among the spores. At first, I assumed it was a stray illusion or fey trick, but it was a fey dragon wormling. Bright, violet scales, wings like stained glass, no larger than a cat. She darted between the branches, always just out of reach. The specimen measured approximately 24 centimeters from snout to tail tip, with a wingspan of 31 centimeters when fully extended. Consistent with a mature violet phase fairy dragon, roughly 50 to 60 years old by my estimation. The iridescent scales reflected light in a pattern I've only observed in creatures with deep connections to the Feywild, suggesting this wasn't merely a resident of the material plane. I catalogued her spell repertoire methodically. Dancing lights, minor illusion, mage hand, all executed flawlessly. Her euphoria breath appeared to be fully developed despite her small size. Most fascinating was her apparent conscious control over her telepathic abilities. She wasn't broadcasting randomly, but deliberately choosing what impressions to share. Her tricks were harmless, illusions, reverse trails, small rock that whispered compliments. She made no sound, but left trails of shimmering breath in the air. Glyphs, I thought. Arcane? Artistic? Both? I began to sketch them, and they seemed to shift when I wasn't looking directly. One matched a doodle I made in my own journal last spring. At the time, I thought I invented it. After 3 hours of this peculiar dance through the woods, I noticed the pattern to her movements. The fairy dragon wasn't simply playing, she was leading me. Each illusion pointed to the next location. Each dancing light created a path I could follow only if I understood her particular logic. When I cast minor illusion myself, a simple flower blooming from my palm, she stopped, hovered, studied me with eyes far more ancient than her small form suggested. And then she cast greater invisibility on herself, but the trail of shimmering breath remained visible. An invitation. She led me to a ruined tree hollow high in the glade. The hollow pulsed with old, settled magic. I approached cautiously, testing for magical traps or guardians. The hollow's interior contained trace evidence of previous fairy dragon inhabitants. Their shed scales, crystallized breath residue, and what appeared to be a rudimentary nest constructed of spider silk, dry grass, and bark. These nesting materials appeared decades old, yet preserved by ambient magic, consistent with theories that fairy dragons maintain ancestral territories across generations. Inside the hollow was a scrap of parchment, aged and folded twice. A page, the script, handwriting eerily similar to my own field notations. The page contained meticulous observations on the nesting behaviors of flying beasts. Nothing dramatic at first glance, but the margins held strange symbols, oddly familiar to me despite their archaic appearance. I've never explored this quadrant before, and certainly not left field notes in fairy nests. Not in this part of the forest, at least. As I stood there puzzling over the strange phenomenon, the dragon reappeared. She flew directly to the page, landing delicately on its edge. With exquisite precision, she exhaled a final glyph, not onto the air, but onto the page itself. The ink glowed momentarily, then settled in the parchment as if it had always been there. I felt a curious connection in that moment, not just to this creature, but to something larger, something forgotten. She looked at me expectantly, as if waiting for a reaction, a recognition I couldn't provide. Eventually, she simply departed, leaving me with unsettling feeling that I had failed some test I didn't know I was taking. It could be a trick. Faye Wood is known for its echoes and reflections, or perhaps another naturalist with a similar hand. But the glyphs from her breath have lingered with me. I find myself sketching them again in idle moments, and I see her sometimes in dreams, not playful, but watching, like she's waiting for something. The Academy scholars dismiss fairy dragons as mere tricksters, chaotic beings with little purpose beyond mischief, but this one seemed purposeful, almost as if carrying a message. I've kept that page, of course, added it to my collection of curiosities, as I like to call it, just another mystery of the wilds. Curious. Entry complete.